Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time being here. I hope that you all are doing well and having a good week. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that I have gone back and forth with again, and that is insecurities and anxieties that I have had surrounding miscarriages or after the miscarriages that I have experienced. It's just something that I feel like I've never really seen talked about or expressed by anybody. Women in particular, obviously, because women are the ones who go through it physically. And it's something that is very real and true if you have ever gone through a miscarriage. Well, or at least it has been for me. Obviously, I can't talk for everybody, but you don't just have your miscarriages and just kind of move on and not experience any type of, repercussions from it, even months afterwards or a year, as it has been in my case with the first miscarriage that I had. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be talking about. I hope that this is helpful and informative for some of you. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And video a thumbs up, and let's get started. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about are some insecurities that I've had since experiencing my first miscarriage and on through that. So I've never been like a really confident person. I've never thought that I was that pretty. I've never looked at myself and, loved what I saw. But, and I've always had body insecurities and things like that from a very young age, as I think a lot of young women do. Since my miscarriages, it has gotten a lot worse. Not really sure why. Going through, 4 pregnancies, it does, or it has affected just the way that I see myself. I still weigh the same amount as I did before Roger or before my miscarriages. But the way that I look at myself has changed. And this isn't an easy thing for me to talk about. It's very personal, and I understand that. And I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that every woman should talk about these things. I'm just acknowledging that these are not easy things for me to talk about. So I guess ever since my first miscarriage, a little over a year ago, I miscarried our second baby on mine and Sam's anniversary. So it's been a year. It's been like a year and a few days. And I didn't gain a lot of weight with that pregnancy. I started at a really low weight because of the surgery that I had had in the winter. And I didn't gain that much weight during it. It wasn't until I guess the week before or a couple of weeks before that I started gaining some weight because, the baby wasn't taking nutrition from me. And I had to eat a lot for me to kind of keep morning sickness at bay and things like that. After my third miscarriage, I just felt like I looked so different and have ever since. I've just felt really puffy and really bloated all the time, and my stomach looks a lot bigger than it did before. And I'm not really sure why, because like I said, I haven't, or any weight that I gained in that third pregnancy, I've lost since. And I'm not sure why I'm struggling with that part of it still. I don't have answers for it. I don't have, I don't have understanding. I don't have understanding for it. all I know is it's something that I've been struggling with. It's not that I feel like my body betrayed me. I know that there's nothing that I could have done or that my body could have done to save those babies. It's just impacted the way that I look at myself, I guess. And I look in the mirror and I just feel like I look so different than I did a year ago. I still work out, I still eat really healthy, and I know that, you know, people looking at me from the outside probably don't notice these differences, but it's something that I've struggled with in my head. That's kind of one part of the insecurity that I've had, like just feeling like everybody can see all of these changes, even though I know that they can't. But it is something that I've been struggling with, and I've, you know, been trying to work on and been trying to come to terms with and be at peace with. And yeah, it's a constant struggle and kind of battle for me. Sam's always really encouraging about the way that I look, and you know, but that doesn't always change your perception, the perception that you have of yourself, even though I really wish that it did, which, you know, obviously isn't his fault. It's something that, again, I have to work on, and the Lord kind of has to help me along with. The thing that I've been really insecure about is just knowing my body and knowing kind of what's going on. I feel like in the past couple of months, I've just been so unsure of what's going on in my body and what is happening. And like, you know, I have resources that I use like tracking apps and all of that kind of stuff, but the way that I feel sometimes is different from what they're saying, and it just really confuses me and makes me insecure about the way that I'm reading my body and the way that I'm, you know, my knowledge, the knowledge that I have about my body, and, you know, the things that I know are true or not. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but just in the past couple of months, I just feel like I've been all over the place emotionally, and, you know, just so insecure about everything that I think that I know about the way that my body works. And it's been very frustrating, and I'm not really sure how to let that go. It's a lot easier said than done to just not worry about things. So yeah, those are just a couple of things that I've been dealing with, like insecurities, I guess. It's an everyday process, and I'll admit I don't do a very good job of it. Like, I don't do a very good job of not feeling insecure, and it's something that, like I said, I've struggled with almost my whole life, and has just gotten worse in the past year because of everything that's happened and everything that my body has gone through. I just feel like it's changed, and I've struggled with that. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is anxiety, and this is something in particular that I've really gone back and forth with talking about, because I can't imagine that anybody likes to talk about these things, but it's something incredibly difficult for me to admit, that I don't always have everything together, and that, you know, I'm not always perfectly trusting in the Lord, and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. The past couple of months, I've just felt incredibly anxious, and I've just felt incredibly anxious for the past couple of months. And I know that a lot of it has to do with the fact that, I guess it started like in the beginning of March, and I know that a lot of it has to do with the fact that we were coming up on all of these kind of like sad dates. So April 2nd was the due date for my second miscarriage. our anniversary, April 24th, was a year that I had my first miscarriage. And then May 6th, which is coming up soon, is the due date for my third miscarriage. And I knew that all of this was coming, and it's just really made me anxious and sad and down. And it's hard not to focus on those things, especially when you're just kind of in your house all the time. And it's not about staying busy, because I am busy, like, you know, having a toddler and a house and all of that kind of stuff. I'm busy. But the thing is, I'm also really good at multitasking, so I can be taking care of Roger and still feel anxious. But yeah, all of these things have just been making me feel really down. Talk about having another baby and that kind of thing, the more anxious I get, because I mentioned that I'm going to be on progesterone, and with progesterone, you have to know every single date. You have to be like really aware of what's going on in your body, of when you're ovulating, of when your cycles like end and start, and how many days you go. And like, there's very little room for error with the progesterone, because if you take it too late, it could, you know, increase your risk of miscarriage. If you take it too soon, it can like not work. So all of these things have just really been impacting me emotionally, and it's not easy for me to say that, because I want to just trust in the Lord 100% of the time. I just want to not have any fear or worry or doubt, and unfortunately I can't say that that's true, and I do a very poor job a lot of the times of surrendering everything to Him, and that's just the reality of it. And it's something that, like, again, I don't just say, well, this is just the way it is. No, I'm constantly trying to fight against it, and I'm constantly going to Him in prayer, and, you know, bringing these things before Him. But I just feel like this is a season of my life where I'm struggling emotionally, and where I'm having a hard time kind of being at peace. The day of our anniversary was pretty difficult for me, just because I don't know how to separate the two. It's almost impossible for me to separate the two now. Even though we've been married for longer than I've lost this baby, or our second baby, it still feels so fresh. Like, a year is not that long in terms of grieving over something. So it was kind of a difficult day for me. It got better in the evening once we put Roger to bed, and Sam got takeout for us, and we watched Cinderella together, the live action one, because that was the movie that we saw the night before we got engaged. So that was really, really lovely, and that helped with my spirits a lot, and it helped my emotional state a lot to just have that time together and sort of just focus on the two of us. By the time Sunday got here, I was just exhausted. Like, I felt like I hadn't slept all weekend. I felt like I was just in a fog. I was just really drained, and I woke up, and I even got to sleep in a little bit, because our church doesn't start until 11 at Roger up on Saturdays and Sundays. And I even got to sleep in, and I just felt like I just hadn't had any sleep at all, and I was just so drained. I felt like right after I got up, I could have slept all day long. And I really do believe that that is something, having a lot of anxiety and that kind of thing really impacts the way that you feel, and it really impacts your sleep, and it really impacts your life. And like, I'm really trying to let go of some of these things and to surrender them to the Lord, and every single day just coming before him and just praying and asking him to give me peace and give me contentment, because I know that a lot of it stems from not being content with where he has me, you know. And obviously it's not trusting in him, because he has everything in my life planned out, and I know that, and that should give me all of the comfort in the world, but it doesn't, and it should. I've just been struggling with these things. I've been for the past year, but it's really, really peaked and gotten worse in the past couple of months, and I don't like it. I said I don't really have advice about how to deal with these things, except to say, again, talk to your spouse or your family, or, you know, whoever it is in your life that you can go to with things like this. Don't keep it inside of yourself. Like, don't. I have felt like such a pest, because I'm always talking to Sam about this. I'm always talking to my little sister about it. And, you know, I'll tell them, and they're so encouraging and they're so reassuring, and they have been amazing in the past couple of months. I mean, they're always amazing. They're my best friends, but they've really helped me. And I would just encourage you, if you are struggling, or you're in a season of life where you're feeling anxious or worried or insecure, any of the things that I've mentioned, that you talk to somebody about it. And also constantly bringing it to the Lord, reading your scripture, doing things to distract yourself as much as you can. I am not great at being distracted. I'm really great at multitasking and, like, you know, thinking about one thing while I'm doing something else. About a month ago, I was going through all of Roger's old things and, like, sorting his clothing and stuff like that. And, you know, it was busy and it took me like 2.5 hours, but I was still able to think and let my mind go in a million different directions. And I'm really not so good at quieting my mind. But anyway, reading your Bible, praying consistently, and just doing your best to lay everything at the Lord's feet. I know that this is a season, and I know that, you know, I'll have a season where I feel great and I'm not feeling so anxious, and then I know that I'll have more seasons where I am. It's just sort of a constant battle for me with these things. By God's mercy, I will continue to grow in him and to grow from these times. Those are just kind of some things that I've been struggling with, and some things that have really impacted me with my miscarriages. If you think about it and you want to say a prayer for me as all of these due dates and times kind of come upon me, I would really appreciate that. And yeah, if you're struggling with something like this, I would love to hear a comment from you so that I can be praying for you. If there's something that is on your heart, please leave me a comment about it, and I will be praying for you. And yeah, you don't have to be alone through these things. Anyway, I think that that's all that I have to say about this right now. I hope that you all are having a good week, and that you have a good weekend, and that you're staying safe and healthy. And yeah, again, if you like these videos, or, you know, these types of videos, please go ahead and subscribe and leave me a comment and like this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.